Hi guys, my name is Jessie and today I am allowed to present you the topic, the art of living of dogs and their handlers. I feel very honored to do so. First of all, I'd like to introduce who I am and I would like to tell you how it came that I'm dealing with the topic, the art of living. So, I am working as a German psychologist and I am a positive psychologist. That means that I am dealing with people's well being and strategies to make people happy. And I am also working as a research assistant. And my research topic, of course, is called The Art of Living for children and adolescents. In my free time, I, of course, love to work with my dogs. I do canine freestyle. I went to a lot of seminars and learned from the greatest people you can imagine. Just to name a few, Anja Christiansen, Denise Nadelli, Heather Smith, Leslie McDevitt, Gerrit van Gastel, and they are all kind of my idols, and I'm so grateful to learn a lot from them. At the moment, we are actually sitting in my training room where I train the dogs and the people. And, I was always thinking how I could combine both of my passions. The one side was to do the research about the art of living, to make people happy. And the other side was to train the dogs and make them happy. And I decided to, connect both of the two sides. So I started, adapting the concept of the art of living to dogs and their handlers. And this is what I'm going to present you today. And I feel very, very honored to share it with you all guys. So, before I was mentioning that I am working as a positive psychologist, and now I would like to explain you what exactly that means. So when we are talking about psychology, people mainly connect something with it like therapy, disorders, diseases, treatment, whatever. And this is correct because this actually is what the clinical psychology is dealing with. But this is only one field out of the big field, psychology in general. When we take a look at this baseline, we have this point on it. It's kind of a zero, which we can call health. So people on this side are not healthy and people on this side are healthy. This is really general. But when we take a look at on this side, we have a disorder-oriented psychology. So there we can, use therapy and treatment and whatever to deal with the disorder. But what about the other side? In here, we have the well-being oriented psychology. People learn strategies to become healthy, to become happy actually, and to improve their well-being. And this is actually what positive psychology does. Just to keep it in mind, psychology is much wider than only about those two fields. I just wanted to name those because they are important for my presentation, but there are many more fields in psychology. What is also important is that in here, well-being oriented psychology is not only dealing with healthy people, it is dealing with people who are suffering from depression or anxiety or whatever, and they learn strategies to, improve their own well-being. And that's actually an important fact. So please keep it in mind that positive psychology is not only dealing with healthy people, and clinical psychology is not only dealing with people who really have a diagnosed disorder, and that psychology in general is a really wide field with a lot of, contents. So now we know what a positive psychology is about and why it's important for today's presentation. It is called the art of living because art of living can be assigned to the positive psychology. It is also dealing with a good life, a fulfilling life, and a life that makes people happy. And now we want to go a little bit deeper and we will have a look what exactly art of living is. Like every other psychological construct, it is based on philosophical considerations. So there was a philosopher and he was dealing with the question, when actually is a life a good life? A life that makes people happy? And there were several philosophers in the past, like Aristoteles and also, more modern philosophers. And everyone was dealing with the question, when do we have a good life? When are people happy? What exactly makes us happy? And yeah, Art of Living actually is based on those considerations. And it says that a life needs to be self-determined, it needs to be reflective, and it needs to be, full of things like savoring, serenity, and whatever to become a good life. I want to show you the contents of the Art of Living. It has several, or actually 17 components, which I want to introduce you now. What you can see in here is the Art of Living construct with all the 17 components. For example, one component is savoring, what means to enjoy the positive aspects of life, or coping, that means to deal with the difficult events in life. Also, there's a component which is dealing with the physical care, that means paying attention to the own body, or integration of different areas of life, what means to successfully integrate the different aspects in the own life. Another example is the positive attitude towards life, that means to be optimistic and grateful. But there are also components like social contacts, what means to build a good social net and having good relationships. So as you can see, the Art of Living is a holistic model with a lot of components in it, which for each component has an own worth. But of course, all the components have a strongly correlation to each other. So now you're an expert in knowing everything about the Art of Living construct. But what I didn't tell you yet is that Art of Living is trainable. That means you can improve Art of Living by training a single component or several single components. And that's a great fact, and actually the foundation of my idea to train the Art of Living of dogs and their handlers. So what I did was I was creating a training for dogs and handlers to improve Art of Living. And that's what I want to present you now. So what I was doing is I was selecting some of the components of the Art of Living, and I was developing exercises to train the components for the dogs and the handlers. And the first component I was selecting for the training was for training self-knowledge. So participants of the training had to pick a strength card. They were created by Ilona Bonneville. I will put it in the references in the end. And on the cards is a picture and also a strength. And they had to pick a card for themselves and for the dogs. And after that, they had to introduce themselves by telling the people why they have this strength and also why the dog is having the strength. So why did I choose to start with the character strengths? Character strengths are mainly the foundation of well-being. If you know about your strengths, you can use them, and this makes you happy. There's a research team around Seligman and Peterson who are dealing with the character strength, and they found out that character strengths are strengths in every culture. So no matter where you ask for strengths, these are seen as character strengths of the human. We have things like, for example, creativity, love, hope, and social connections and stuff like that. But we also have more rational stuff, like, for example, planning or learning or strategy or whatever. So there are 24 character strengths, they found out, which are worthful in every culture. Yes, and what I found out is when you use your character strengths in different ways, where you haven't used them before, it makes you even more happy. I will show you an example. In here, we have the card Gratitude. And when you turn it around, then you will find a definition of the character strengths, an activity, what you can do. For example, challenge yourself to write down 3 things every day that you are grateful for. Every time when you say thank you, give more meaning to these words. Stop complaining, criticizing, and gossiping for a moment and think of people who are less fortunate than you are. So,
this is what you can do about gratitude. And these cards are really great, and I really love them. Like I said before, they are made by Ilona Bonneville, and I will send a link in the references at the end of the presentation. Another point why I chose to start with the character strength is that mainly people really know what they can't do, but they have problems in talking about the things they can do. And that's why I started with it. I wanted them to really think of what is the strengths of myself, because it's worthwhile to deal with the strengths.
So, the second component I was selecting was the component positive attitude towards life. And I created a task which combined positive attitude towards life with a self-determined way of life. So, the exercise I was creating was to create a little booklet with a Polaroid picture from the dog and the handler in it. And they had to prepare the booklet that they can name the 3 good things each day for over a week. And the 3 good things is an exercise out of the positive psychology, which is kind of very popular. So the task is to name the 3 good things of the day every evening before you go to bed. What happens with this task is that you will change your focus, because you will now search for the good things on the day that you can name them in the evening. And the second thing is that your well-being will be improved. That's the 3 good things. And that was the first thing they had to do. Creating a little booklet and preparing just the numbers 1 to 3 every day. And what I did then is to ask them to plan 1 happiness activity daily. 1 for the dog and 1 for the handler, because the dog cannot choose the things, what happens at a day. So the handler has to do so. And sometimes these activities are the same for the dog and the handler, but sometimes they're separated. So this was the task for training positive attitude towards life and the self-determined way of life.
So what kind of booklet did they make? So every participant got a booklet like that. And they had the possibility to make it very individual, like putting on some stickers or whatever. And when you open it, on page 1, you have the page with the Polaroid picture. So in here you can see my 3 dogs. And for the exercise to improve the positive attitude towards life and the self-determined way of living, we have created it like that. So in here you have the 3 good things. So there's an empty space because you always have to fill it in the evening, out of a retrospective. And then you have to plan your happiness activity for each day. So this is for the handler. You can see my great drawing. And this is for the dog.
So I decided to let Infinity into the camera view too. She was curious what I am doing here. The next component I was selecting was self-efficacy. I split the group into 2 conditions. Condition 1 was to pick a random number of training sessions, and condition 2 was to pick a random number of tricks. And they were picking those numbers, and then they had the task to shape with a prop. It was a hoop and it was a box. And one group had to say, okay, I will manage a specific trick with the box in the number I picked for training sessions. And the other group had to say if they will make it possible to do so many tricks they have picked before with a hoop. And this is about self-efficacy. Self-efficacy means the belief to manage a task with their own skills. And if the person said, I won't make it, that's too difficult, the group was there and said, yes, we will do it together. And so they managed it. And that was a really special exercise, actually. For example, there was one participant who picked a number 1 for training sessions. So she only had 1 session with about 5 to 8 clicks to manage to teach the dog the trick. And that is kind of impossible. But with the help of the group, she managed it, and the dog, who's kind of unexperienced with learning tricks, did it, and it was such a great feeling, really amazing. For the next component, I was picking the component savoring, and I have kind of a fancy idea. I was using carrots and made a hole in the carrots and filled them with different fruits. And I wanted the dogs really to be conscious of what they are tasting. And that was a task which was really difficult for some dogs because they were just like eating full speed and they were like, oh, what was that? But other dogs were eating more aware, and that was kind of really funny. And what you can see on the next picture is that also my own dogs and also my guinea pigs had a lot of fun while I was preparing this exercise. The next component I was selecting was physical care, and I was searching for a breathing task, which is also good for dogs. And with the help of a physio friend of mine, I found one, which I would like to show you with my dog. So first of all, the handlers had a task to count the breathing per minute, actually. And it was a normal breathing of a dog is about 30 to 60 times in a minute. And then they had a task to, just relax the dog a bit, like Elliot at the moment does. And then they had to put the left hand on the breast of the dog, and with the right hand to hold the front paw a bit in here, to stretch it a bit. And then to just take care what happens with the breathing. And it's getting deeper and calmer. And then they had to do the same with the right hand on the belly of the dog and to stretch the hind paw a bit. And also just observe if something's changing with the breathing. And for the handlers, I gave them a different exercise for breathing. It's that way. And I wanted them to breathe in while the fingers go away from each other. And while they are going back to each other, they had to breathe out. And that's for every finger on the hand and backwards until they reached their thumb again. Just try it in your own speed. It's a really nice exercise, and I'm doing it every time I am in the warming up ring before a competition to just calm down. The next component I was picking for the training was about social contacts. And everyone had to draw a net of their social contacts. Who are a person that is meaningful to me? What is about the connection? Is it a strong bond? Are the people really close to me, or are they more far away? Or is the bond maybe a little bit disturbed? Or is it a straight line? And also for the dog. So they made 2 social nets, one for the person themselves and one for the dog. And then the task was to add the three strengths for the people or the dogs they named, and to find out if there are similarities or differences or whatever.
So what you could see in here is my social net. So I was putting all the names in it which are meaningful for my life. So you can see my friends, my family, my dogs, and so many more. And what I did is, I tried to draw the lines. How strong are they? For example, this is Elliot. She's my BFF. So I have a really strong bond. She's very close to me. And I have also, kind of my family, which is more a disturbed line or whatever. So we have those people in our lives and those. And what I tried was, I was adding the strengths of every name I put into my social net. So, for example, this is my best friend in human life, and I could not stop adding her strengths, actually. I wrote down she's analytic, she's full of emotions, she's very creative, she's honest. I have so many more strengths in my mind for her. And then I was trying to think, what about those people in my net? Are there a lot of similarities and differences or whatever? And what I found out is that mainly every one of those people has one strength I also have. So we have one thing in common. And there are a lot of people who, I know, okay, I can contact them when I have a problem, but there are others which I could, contact when I have something else. So it's really nice to have a look at the strengths of your friends and your family and to know what can you expect from them and what you maybe can't. The next picture you will see is the social net of my dog, Infinity. She actually doesn't like other dogs too much, but I was really surprised that I could name so many people and dogs for her as well. And what I found out is that she actually has a lot of friends and a lot of social contacts. There are a lot of humans in it. A lot of my friends are important to her too. And it was really interesting to have a look at. And of course, what is my goal with it? I want to have good relationships. That means that I have to take care of those in a really, in a good way. That means I have to meet the people. I have to have contact to the people a lot of times. Not that I have to, but that I want to. And to make the relationships really strong and good.
The last component I selected for the training was the component serenity. And what we did was we trained a mental anchor for the dogs, what means that they learn the behavior to get calm again, to breathe and to, be really relaxed. And we also made that for the people. So they were, for example, thinking of a place where they are really happy and relaxed and whatever. And then we tried to really implicate that behavior, that the emotions will just, go over the body. Like I am just thinking about a happy place and I have to smile or whatever. And that was a really nice exercise actually, which needs a little bit training, but which is really good to just implicate in the daily life. So I would like to show you how you can train a mental anchor. So this is Elliot, and she's kind of excited all the time. I know in the video she's mainly calming down, but actually she's a really excited dog, and her calming down behavior or her mental anchor is a chin target. So I will show you, make her a little bit more aroused, and then I will show you the chin, and what you can see is that her tail will fall down and she will breathe again. So she really is breathing in my hands. I will try it in front of the camera so that you can maybe hear it. Good girl. Good girl. I hope you could hear it. So she's breathing out loudly, and that's when she's calming down, and every time she's doing the chin target, she's getting a lot of treats in a calm way, and that makes her be calm, also connecting these to the chin target. So the tail is falling down, she's breathing, and she starts to concentrate again. That's her mental anchor. So now you got to know Elliot's mental anchor, but I also want to tell you what my mental anchor is. It's this little glass of oil, actually. It's a little bottle, but it's not about the content, which is an eteric oil. I do not actually know what exactly it is. I got it at a seminar 2 years ago. It was a dog sports seminar, and I went there, but all the great names out of my sport were there, and I was super excited. I thought I should not go there. I do not belong there, because all of the great sports people are there, and I'm just Jessie. That's what I thought. And I went there, and everything went fine. It was super nice. Everyone was super nice. And it went great actually. And after the seminar, one of the participants came to me and she gave me that little bottle of oil. And she said, "Jessie, you did so great. We really appreciated you to be here. And please come back to the Netherlands and please train with us." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm maybe not that bad." So now this is my mental anchor, and I only have to look at it, or sometimes I smell at it. And for me, it's a feeling of, being satisfied with myself and believe in my own skills and strengths. So every time I have something which makes me a little bit more excited, I have a look at my little bottle of oil and I say, yes, I'm not that bad. Actually, I'm pretty good. And I can just, believe in my skills, believe in my dog. And yeah, so everything is going fine. I calm down, I'm relaxed, and I start believing again. So this actually was the training. And of course, because I'm a psychologist, I wanted to know if my training has effects on the people and the dogs. And what I did was I was measuring positive and negative effects, and I was measuring the effects on the art of living. And what you can see is that the positive effects were increasing after the training, and the negative effects were decreasing after the training. And also for art of living, which is kind of a stable construct, the means increased, and there's a marginal significant effect. And this is really great. You can see it now in the following pictures. So, the presented training only is a first step in creating a holistic training concept which comprises all of the art of living components, as well as, several training sessions and a longer training duration and whatever. And I'm really working my ass off at the moment to reach that and to finish my project and to fulfilling my dream and, just being in my passion and make it possible. A lot of gratitude for all of your attention. I will give you all the contact information, and yeah, just write me. I would be delighted to hear something from you. Bye bye.